you're all looking at. Protect your head. Reflective band so I don't ruin my pants. If you're ever wondering what these are for. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Perryman, for this opportunity to speak before the Cardigan community. And to all who are here, thank you for this privilege. It's an honor to speak before you. If you're wondering why I came in on a bike, I'll get to that later. Finish strong. You've heard it so many times that it runs the risk of losing its meaning and its significance. Finish strong. We hear it from our coaches, even when the game is out of reach and there is no chance of winning. We hear it from our parents and our teachers. And we are hearing it often now as we look down the final stretch of this academic year, the end within sight, only 14 days away. It is perhaps the most meaningful and feasible of cliches. I would venture to say that we all have the ability to finish strong, no matter what or how that might be. Maybe this takes the form of finally achieving that elusive effort honor roll. Maybe it's apologizing to someone you haven't been very nice to lately. Or thanking a teacher for all the help they've given you throughout the year. Or maybe it's letting go of the negativity and changing your attitude to be positive and grateful for everything that you have. Finish strong. I've already seen you do it. Think back to the lake run this past October. For some of you, the challenge was to beat your previous time or to finish ahead of some of your friends. For others like me, it was simply to finish without walking. But when you rounded the corner and headed back to campus and on to Marion Field, your pace picked up. You saw your classmates and teachers who were there at the finish line encouraging you, bring it home, finish strong, you can do it. These were the chants that made your feet move a little faster. And after a grueling run up and down the hills on the back roads, each and every one of you somehow found the energy to sprint to the finish. It was an amazing show of effort. And no matter what your time was or what place you came in, you felt better knowing that you finished the run, giving it all you had as you came across the line. Now getting to the bike. When I was the age of many of you who are in the 8th grade, my main sport was road bike racing. It was in the 1980s when a rider from Minnesota named Greg LeMond would be the first American to win the Tour de France, the famous 2-week, 2,000-mile bike race with stages all throughout the country of France. Greg LeMond won the Tour de France not once, not twice, but 3 times, and after that feat, he became my idol. Road racing teams were popping up all over the United States, and bike racing was becoming a popular sport. I was 13 years old, and my parents sent me and my bike, which is a good bit smaller than the one you see up here on stage, and they put me on a plane to Colorado. I was traveling to a race called the Red Zinger Mini Classic, a week-long stage race crisscrossing the Rocky Mountains. It was a mini Tour de France, just for little kids, and it drew the best riders from all over the country. I was so nervous, not just because I was far away from my family and staying with a host family that I didn't know, but because I would be racing against America's best young riders. I had an ambitious goal to finish in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 if things went well. I was doing well for the first few days of racing, but that would change at the first time trial stage. The time trial was on a mountain pass connecting the ski towns of Breckenridge and Vail. In a time trial, you start at intervals 1 minute apart, and you race against the clock. Your goal is to catch the rider who starts ahead of you, but you definitely don't want the rider behind you catching you. I was so consumed with the rider behind me that I kept looking back, wondering if he was catching me. I kept looking back over my shoulder, and one time when I did this, there was a turn, and I went right up the path into the tall grass. When you start a time trial, they hold your bike and your feet are strapped in very tightly to the pedals, so when I went off the grass, I was upside down and could not get my feet unstuck from the pedals. And I panicked. I tried to get my feet unstuck and I saw one rider after another going past. I got sad and nauseous, angry, and I knew my goal of making the top 5 was gone. I finished in 18th place that day and lost several minutes to the leaders. But, alas, there was a few more days of racing. The mountain stages were coming up, and being small and skinny, I was a decent climber. Over the next few days, I rode well and climbed back into the top 10. The last mountain stage was called the Bob Cook Memorial. It consisted of 2 laps of an up and down course, and the finish line was situated at the top of a long, steep climb. By the start of the second lap, I was in a small pack of riders chasing the lead group, who were a few minutes ahead of us. Everyone in my group took turns doing equal work, and with the grit and perseverance that we had, we got close to the leading pack just before the final hill climb. But as the climb began, the racers all splintered, everyone spread out, and it was every boy for himself. I dug in and got into a rhythm, and I found that I was passing one rider after another. This gave me hope and renewed energy. Every rider I passed inspired me to catch another. I stood up out of the saddle and pushed down on the pedals until I had passed everyone except for one last rider who was still out in front. I knew this was my chance at glory. This was my time to finish strong. I put my head down and gave it everything I had. I finally arrived at the finish line where a huge banner flew over my head, and I was now shoulder to shoulder with that last rider who had been ahead of me. And side by side we crossed the line and I collapsed into a crowd of people. Was it enough? Did I win? Either way, I learned right then and there what it meant to finish strong. I heard the cheers of the fans. I heard the race announcer calling my name. I had gotten a medal and stood on the podium and had my picture in the paper. I had never been so proud of an accomplishment as I was at that moment. Now take a moment here and close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. And envision something you are proud of that you did this year at Cardigan. It can be anything. But the memory of it should be something that makes you feel good and bring a smile to your face. Just think about something that you're proud of that you've done this year. Keep your eyes closed and now jump ahead to this summer. And try to imagine how you will feel when you think about this past year here at Cardigan. Will you feel good about it? Now realize that you have 2 more weeks to make this year what you want it to be. Please open your eyes. Just like the Tour de France riders have support teams who help them do their best and do the best they can, you all have a support team made up of parents and teachers, coaches, advisors, health staff, who all help you succeed and finish out this year in the best possible way. Many years later, after the Red Zinger came and went, by complete chance, I met the brother of the boy who crossed the line with me at the top of the Bob Cook Memorial. He and I happened to be playing hockey on a team in Colorado, and somehow we got to talking about the Red Zinger. And he remembered me from that day. He remembered that his parents and everyone at the finish line were watching this little rider pushing up the hill, catching up to his brother, and everyone was cheering for the 2 of us. Finishing strong is how you'll be remembered when you leave Cardigan. Whether you're leaving for the summer, whether you were leaving for another school, the way you finish your year here, the capstone of all your efforts and hard work, is what will leave a lasting impression on the rest of us. It will determine how you feel as you head home for the summer and whether you're proud of the work you've done while you were here. No matter where you are, no matter how far back you might be, You all have the ability to improve from where you are now. To give your best effort in this final push and to finish strong.